Hello, and welcome to the Low and Lowdown, where we talk about bass, bass gear, and pretty much anything related to bass guitar. So, I'm here today to talk to you about the only bass you're ever going to need, and I'm assuming you're here to debate me to no end on why it isn't, but I don't care. I don't care. The fact of the matter is, the only bass you need is the Fender Precision Bass. So why would I say that this is the only bass that you would ever need? I mean, it's at least the bass that should be in your arsenal. Consider the history. This bass has been around since the 1950s and was a replacement for the upright, which wasn't cutting it anymore with bigger bands, the popularization of electric instruments. It just needed to keep up. The bass was starting to get drowned out. And it was a hard go at first. People weren't willing to accept it. A bunch of jazz players didn't want to play it. And it was really in the 1960s when it started becoming the go-to workhorse bass for all of these legendary bass players like Carol Kaye, James Jamerson, Bob Babbitt, John Entwistle, Duck Dunn. The list goes on to even modern players now that we all know, like Pino Palladino, Sting, Kim Deal, you name it, the P-bass is there. And that's why you need one. And that's why it's maybe the only bass that you need. I'm sure I'm missing so many bass players that we could throw into this. And if you know any, mention them in the comments. To be honest, the P-bass is all they really needed at the time, and it's been the same thing since the 1950s, essentially. Some wood, some strings, and a pickup. And the thing that's interesting to me is that it became like a pop culture icon. Like, if you mention to anybody right now, bass guitar, what do you think's the first thing that's going to pop into their mind? It's going to be this. Go right now in Google and type in bass guitar and tell me what the first 3 images are. $10 says it's probably going to be one of these. It's hard ingrained into pop culture at this point. Paul Simonon. At this point, this bass has hard ingrained itself into pop culture. I mean, think of the Clash's iconic album cover, London Calling, where Paul Simonon is railing his bass on the ground. And what bass do you think that might be? I can't tell you the amount of times that people ask me, hey man, can you bring a P-bass? Do you have a P-bass? What kind of P-bass do you have? And that's all they want on their sessions, because it's just that iconic sound that you know is going to fit in 99% of scenarios, for everything from picking to throwing flat wounds on it and getting a really dark, deep, rich sound to doing it low and doing some slap stuff. I love the sound of a slap P-bass. I know that's a hot take, but I guess this whole video is a hot take. So, and I have so many basses I bring. To every session, I'll bring 3 or 4 basses, and usually it's this bass that wins out over all of them. So for anybody that's pretty unfamiliar with P-basses or is new to playing bass and is like, what is it? Like, what am I looking for? It's pretty straightforward, and not much has changed in the crazy amount of years that it's been around. So it has a solid wood body, which is usually alder or ash, has a metal bridge which holds the strings in place. You have your pickup, which is a single coil humbucking pickup, pick guard, which come in all kinds of fancy colors you get to choose, 2 knobs, which are just volume and treble, a 1-piece maple neck. Some basses come with construction necks, which have different woods inlaid, but it's just 1 piece of a maple neck. Fingerboard, which is either usually rosewood or maple, sometimes Pau Ferro. Your tuners, which are just so you can tune up and down and make sure you sound good. You can get a bunch of different basses now that do have more exotic woods now. But to me, this is it. This is what you want. It's just like this honking piece of wood that just is slapped together. I mean, by experts. The beauty of these basses is their sheer simplicity. So that's enough of the talking. Let me play you some of the bass lines that I love that are made by amazing players with this instrument. Now me, I'm a serious bass nerd. I love basses. I have tons of them, and I'm lucky enough that some other people have some basses that they could lend me. So we got to test them out. We have my Franken bass, which was inspired by Tim LaFave, who put together his own bass, and it got me really wanting to play one. My friend Matt's 2019 American P bass, and Matt plays with a great funk band called Casey Roberts and the Live Revolution here in Toronto. You should check him out. And my good friend Charles's 1966 P bass, and it's got flats on it, so you know it's gonna thump. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a series of tests. I'm gonna play a couple of grooves. First one with a tone knob rolled all the way down, and then second one tone knob rolled up 50%, then third one tone knob rolled up all the way. Let's get it. So with all of that, you can see why the P bass is really the only bass that you're ever gonna need, says the guy who has like 7 other basses. No, it's good to have all kinds of basses for every occasion, but I'm saying if you don't have a P bass in your arsenal, you should get one. I'm Alex. This has been the Low End Lowdown. Thank you so much for joining me. If you like the video, like and subscribe. I love hearing all your comments. I love talking bass. I'm not kidding. I'm a big nerd about it. So hit me up. I would love to hear from you. All right, everybody. Have a great day.